Eroding Bases of Power. This opinion examines how unsustainable policies and crises undermine state foundations. This is not how it works. This sentence introduces the central claim that power doesn't function as leaders assume, serving as a bold thesis statement. The biggest folly that any wielder of power can fall prey to is to take their own power for granted. Folly is a noun meaning a foolish or costly mistake, often born from arrogance. Fall prey to is a phrasal verb meaning to become a victim of something harmful or dangerous. Take for granted is an idiomatic expression meaning to assume something is guaranteed without effort or care. This sentence warns that the greatest error a leader can make is presuming their authority is secure, setting a critical tone. It does not work that way. This sentence reinforces the opening claim with blunt repetition, emphasizing power's unpredictable nature. The world is not made of Lego blocks that it can be made, disassembled and remade into whatever shape one fancies. Lego blocks is a metaphor likening the world to simple, rearrangeable toy pieces. Fancies is a verb meaning to desire or imagine freely, often whimsically. This sentence suggests reality can't be reshaped at will, using a vivid metaphor to mock such naive thinking. Trying to treat it as such undermines the very roots from which one's power grows. As such is an idiomatic phrase meaning in that manner or way. Undermines is a verb meaning to weaken or erode subtly over time. Roots is a metaphor representing the foundational support of power. This sentence implies that mishandling reality damages the deep sources of a leader's strength. The government has some cause to celebrate the fact that it has stabilized the economy. To take one example. This sentence acknowledges a government achievement in stabilizing the economy, but hints at underlying skepticism. This is the fifth time I am seeing a government celebrate the return of stability since 2001. So quite aside from how each of these episodes worked out, it is worth considering the enormous cost that each such cycle of stabilization brings. Quite aside from is an idiomatic phrase meaning regardless of or setting aside other factors. Episodes is a noun meaning distinct events or occurrences. Enormous cost is a noun phrase suggesting a heavy toll or burden. Cycle is a noun implying a repetitive pattern. This sentence reflects on the repetitive boasts of stability since 2001, urging a closer look at their steep price. For starters, consider how the cost of each balance of payments crisis gets larger each time we go through it. For starters is an idiomatic expression meaning to begin with, often used casually. Balance of payments crisis is a technical term meaning a financial emergency when a country can't cover imports or debts. Go through is a phrasal verb meaning to experience or endure something challenging. This sentence kicks off with a conversational tone, spotlighting the escalating cost of financial crises. In 2008, for instance, the total foreign exchange reserves plummeted by $7 billion from peak to trough before an IMF program was initiated and another round of stabilization launched. For instance is a phrase meaning as an example, adding concrete detail. Foreign exchange reserves is a technical term meaning a country's stockpile of foreign currency for trade. Plummeted is a verb meaning to fall sharply and suddenly. Peak to trough is an idiomatic expression meaning from the highest point to the lowest. IMF program is jargon referring to an International Monetary Fund bailout plan. This sentence details the 2008 reserve drop, illustrating the crisis cycle with specific figures. The next such fall began in 2011, and by 2013 reserves had fallen by $10 billion and another fund program. Fund program is shorthand jargon for an IMF rescue package. This sentence notes a larger 2011 to 13 decline, linking it to yet another IMF intervention. Then came the next fall, starting in 2016 and bottoming out in 2018. During which reserves crashed by $10 billion again. Bottoming out is a phrasal verb meaning reaching the lowest point. Crashed is a verb meaning a sudden, severe drop. This sentence describes the 2016 to 18 repeat, underscoring the persistent financial bleed. And the last such fall began in 2021 and bottomed out in 2022. After burning through $13 billion, perhaps the single largest and fastest fall of them all. Burning through is a phrasal verb meaning to rapidly use up or waste resources. Single largest is a phrase meaning the biggest individual instance. This sentence highlights the 2021 to 22 plunge as the most devastating yet, building the case of worsening crises. These figures relate to the state and how its resources get burned during one of these episodes. Get burned is an idiomatic expression meaning to be wasted or destroyed. This sentence ties the data to state losses, framing them as a national drain. There is another set of figures we could look at to see how the people fare through all this. Look at is a phrasal verb meaning to examine or consider closely. Fare is a verb meaning to manage or survive under conditions. This sentence shifts focus to the human toll, teasing a new layer of impact. This is real wages, which means wages of the working poor and how they are impacted by inflation and devaluation that inevitably accompany each of these episodes. Real wages is a technical term meaning income adjusted for inflation's effects. Working poor is a noun phrase referring to low-income laborers. Inflation is a noun meaning rising prices that reduce money's value. Devaluation is a noun meaning a currency's drop in worth. Inevitably is an adverb meaning always or unavoidably. This sentence defines real wages, connecting them to the poor's struggles during crises. Each growth spurt is shorter and shallower than the one that came before it. Growth spurt is a noun phrase meaning a brief economic upswing. Shallower is an adjective meaning less significant or impactful. This sentence suggests recoveries keep shrinking, a troubling trend known for Pakistan. Work done by Adil Mansour, my favorite economic writer by far, shows that if nominal wages increase by 10% every year, then it will take until 2030 for the working poor to regain the purchasing power they have lost since 2017. Nominal wages is a technical term, meaning pay before inflation adjustments. Purchasing power is a noun phrase meaning what money can actually buy. Regain is a verb meaning to recover something lost. This sentence cites a favorite expert to show the long road back to 2017's buying power. Absorb the implications of this first. Absorb is a verb meaning to fully understand or take in. Implications is a noun meaning consequences or deeper significance. This sentence urges readers to pause and grasp the gravity of that forecast. A 10% increase in nominal wages every year for 5 more years, just to get back to where we were in 2017, is not a minor thing. Get back is a phrasal verb meaning to return to a previous state. Minor is an adjective meaning small or unimportant. This sentence emphasizes that such wage hikes are a huge challenge, not a simple fix. Other work on this subject done by Dr. Hafiz Pasha over the longer run suggests that the destruction of purchasing power that has happened post-2017 accelerated with a vengeance post-COVID. Over the longer run is an idiomatic phrase meaning across an extended period. With a vengeance is an idiomatic expression meaning with intense force or aggression. This sentence points to another expert, noting a sharp post-2017 decline worsened by COVID. Even in the worst of years during the preceding decade, real wages did not fall as badly as they have in recent years, meaning the working poor did not see their purchasing power destroyed quite as sharply as it has in the years from 2017 onwards. Fall as badly is a phrasal verb meaning decline severely. Quite as sharply is an adverbial phrase meaning to such a strong degree. This sentence contrasts milder past wage drops with the recent harsh blow. As a general rule, Democratic government never allowed real wages, which is the measure of daily wages adjusted by inflation, to turn negative. As a general rule is an idiomatic phrase meaning usually or typically. Turn negative is a phrasal verb meaning to drop below zero growth. This sentence notes that democracies historically kept wages above inflation. According to Pasha's work, for example, in the decade from 2008 till 2017, real wages grew by 3% on average every year. On average is an idiomatic phrase meaning typically over time. This sentence highlights steady wage growth pre-2017 based on research. It is a shock, therefore, to see that the purchasing power of the working poor today is worse than it was 8 years ago. Shock is a noun meaning a surprising or disturbing revelation. This sentence expresses dismay at the poor's regression since 2017. Rarely have we seen destruction of the incomes of the poor on this scale. Scale is a noun meaning size or magnitude. This sentence suggests such income loss is nearly unprecedented. This is the other side of the balance of payments crises that we have weathered around 5 times in the past quarter century. Other side is a metaphor meaning a hidden or less obvious consequence. Weathered is a verb meaning endured or survived tough times. Quarter century is a noun phrase meaning 25 years. This sentence reveals the human cost of financial crises since 2000. It is the other side of how the stability that successive governments have touted has been earned. Touted is a verb meaning praised or promoted loudly. Earned is a verb implying gain through effort or sacrifice. This sentence implies stability comes at a steep, often concealed cost. Except in the past, it meant a sharp slowdown in the growth of the purchasing power of the working poor. Slowdown is a noun meaning a reduction in pace or progress. This sentence notes that earlier crises only slowed wage growth, not reversed it. In our time, it means an active and sharp rollback of this purchasing power altogether. Rollback is a noun meaning a reduction or reversal. Altogether is an adverb meaning completely or entirely. This sentence declares that today's crises actively cut buying power. And it doesn't end there. This sentence hints at more damage beyond wages, keeping the stakes high. Each following spurt of growth that follows such a period of stabilization has been shorter than the one that came before. This sentence suggests post-crisis booms keep shrinking, a worrying pattern. So if the Musharraf growth boom lasted for around 5 years before entering its crisis, the Nawaz growth spurt lasted for barely 3 years, and the growth spurt under Imran Khan lasted for less than 2. Barely is an adverb meaning just or scarcely. This sentence maps declining boom lengths under named leaders, showing a trend. Each spurt is shorter and shallower than the one that came before. Shallower is an adjective meaning less significant or deep. This sentence reinforces that growth weakens with each cycle. Each balance of payments crisis is larger than the one before. This sentence stresses that financial crises grow bigger each time. And each time, the purchasing power of the working poor is destroyed with greater ferocity. Ferocity is a noun meaning fierce or savage intensity. This sentence warns that the poor lose more brutally with each crisis. If the inflationary peak following Musharraf's growth boom was a historic 25 PC, in May 2023, the inflationary peak following Imran Khan's growth spurt hit 38 PC. Inflationary peak is a noun phrase meaning the highest point of price increases. Historic is an adjective meaning notable or record-setting. This sentence compares past and present inflation spikes, showing escalation. Of course, in both cases, the inflationary spiral began during the time when the two men were in power, but hit a peak by the time they were gone, giving them the space to lay the blame for the inflation on their successors. Inflationary spiral is a technical term meaning a rapid, runaway price surge. Lay the blame is a phrasal verb meaning to pin fault on someone else. This sentence exposes how leaders dodge accountability for inflation they sparked. But it was, in both cases, the reckless and unsustainable growth strategies they followed that led to the breakout of inflation. Reckless is an adjective meaning careless or rash. Unsustainable is an adjective meaning unable to last long-term. Breakout is a noun meaning a sudden eruption. This sentence pins inflation on their risky, short-lived policies. Each time stability comes, the government of the day celebrates it as a signature success, and yes, it takes a lot to bring about this stability. Of the day is an idiomatic phrase meaning the current regime. Signature success is a noun phrase meaning a defining achievement. Bring about is a phrasal verb meaning to achieve or cause. This sentence admits stability is hard-won, but questions the celebration. But we cannot keep repeating this cycle. Keep repeating is a phrasal verb meaning to continue doing repeatedly. This sentence pleads for an end to this destructive pattern. Because each time we go through it, the ties that bind the ruler and rule suffer irreparable damage. Ties that bind is a metaphor meaning the bonds of trust or loyalty. Irreparable is an adjective meaning beyond repair. This sentence warns that each cycle permanently breaks the ruler-people connection. Consider the malignant behaviors that are kicked into motion in an economy characterized by such booms and busts. Malignant is an adjective meaning harmful or toxic, like a spreading illness. Kicked into motion is a phrasal verb meaning set off or started. Booms and busts is a technical term meaning economic ups and downs. This sentence suggests this volatile economy triggers dangerous behaviors. Investors look for quick and outsized returns because they know in their bones that good times never last in Pakistan. Outsized is an adjective meaning unusually large. Know in their bones is an idiomatic expression meaning to feel instinctively or deeply. This sentence depicts investors chasing fast profits, sensing inevitable collapse. The poor look for rackets. Some turn to street crime. Others spread themselves out thin to operate multiple small trades in order to diversify their sources of income or supplement them. Rackets is a noun meaning illicit schemes or hustles. Spread themselves out thin is an idiomatic expression meaning to stretch effort too far. Diversify is a verb meaning to vary or broaden. This sentence portrays the poor resorting to crime or juggling jobs to survive. And yes, in some cases, they look to flee to greener shores. Flee is a verb meaning to escape quickly. Greener shores is a metaphor meaning better opportunities abroad. This sentence reveals some poor seek escape overseas. Survival strategies unleashed in such an economy run contrary to what is required for healthy, sustainable growth that raises incomes as well as productivity. Unleashed is a verb meaning released or set loose. Run contrary is a phrasal verb meaning to oppose or conflict with. Sustainable is an adjective meaning able to endure long-term. This sentence argues that these desperate tactics undermine lasting economic progress. The rulers need to understand that their connection with the common citizenry is now so frayed, levels of trust so eroded, faith in the institutions of the country so low, that resorting to a heavy hand to gain obedience should be avoided and efforts to build consensus within their ranks given top priority. Frayed is an adjective meaning worn or torn apart. Eroded is a verb meaning worn away over time. Heavy hand is a metaphor meaning harsh or oppressive control. Consensus is a noun meaning agreement or unity. Ranks is a noun meaning their own group or leadership. This sentence urges rulers to recognize broken trust and prioritize unity over force. The writer is a business and economy journalist. This sentence identifies the author as an expert in economic reporting. Khurram.Husain@gmail.com. Published in Dawn, March 13, 2025.